Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Ariff bin Aziz. Today, I will be presenting about ethnicity and social network. For ethnicity, I will be focusing on British Black English. Meanwhile, for social network, I will be covering about network. In these topics, we will want to focus on how ethnicity accounts for people's speech pattern and why people talk differently in different contexts or social network. Firstly, let's start with ethnicity. Ethnicity is a named social category of people who identify with each other on the basis of shared attributes that distinguish them from other groups, such as a common set of traditions, ancestry, language, history, society, culture, nation, religion, or social treatment within their residing area. So, a little explanation on the importance of language for ethnicity symbol is that when a group adopts the dominant language, whether willing or unwillingly, in a society with multiple language, one important symbol that separates their ethnicity is lost, which is their language. In response to this, ethnic groups often use the dominant language in a way that signal and actively construct their ethnic identity. This is especially important for groups that have no identifying physical features like food, religion, or dress to distinguish them from others in the society. Therefore, to protect their symbol of ethnicity, it is important for them to have these distinctive linguistic features. So, in a context where a choice of language is available for communication, people can actually signal their ethnicity by the language they choose to speak. Even when a complete conversation in their ethnic language is impossible, they might include short phrase, verbal filler, or linguistic text which signal their ethnicity. An example would be Singaporean end phrase lah, like for cannot do it lah. Moving on, I will explain about British Black English. People of West Indian or African Caribbean origin that resides in British speak using varieties that are influenced on their duration of stay and their location in British. Meanwhile, those born in British are members of British Black community. One of the variety used by the British Black community, other than English, is a variety known as British Jamaican Creole or Patois. This variety is derived from Jamaican Creole and its type depends on the location of the speakers. For example, if the speaker came from London, the type of Jamaican Creole that he or she used will be London Jamaican Creole. This modified version of Jamaican Creole is essentially the British Black English, as it is spoken by the Black British people of West Indian or African Caribbean origin. Next, I will talk about Patois linguistic features. There are 5 linguistic features of Patois. First is words like dan and tin are pronounced as dan and tin. Second, it uses simplified pronouns of me for I, me, my, and them for they, them, and their. Third, it uses plural forms without s suffix. For example, instead of 3 cats, it becomes 3 cat. Fourth, verbs are not marked for tense. Instead of using walks for third person singular present tense or walk for past tense, they simply use walk for both. Lastly, Patois incorporate lexical items like lik, which means hit, kenge for wig, and bax for angry. Now that we know the basic background of British Black people and also features of British Black English, let us see how Black British people use this variety to signal their ethnicity through the case study of a female Black British teenager named Polly, who lives in West Midlands in British. Polly is a British Black teenager whose parents are from Jamaican and come to British for work. They live in a predominantly Black neighborhood and almost all of Polly's fans are young Black people. Based on her background, polylinguistic repertoire includes Standard English with West Midlands accent, informal variety of English plus Patois features, which is also known as Midlands Black English, and lastly, Patois or Jamaican Creole. Moving on, let's see how she uses her linguistic repertoire in various domains. Firstly, she will use Standard English when she interacts with her teacher in college and when she visits most shops. Second, she uses Midlands Black English when she goes to a shop that she knows the young Black worker and when she speaks with her family and friends. Lastly, she uses full Patois when she talks to her friends who also know Patois. Therefore, here are the main takeaways. British black people signal their ethnicity through how they use the variety in their linguistic repertoire, not based on their knowledge of any variety. Some British black people are not proficient in patois, but they still use some patois features as a way to highlight their ethnicity, like how Polly uses Midlands Black English with friends who have little or no knowledge about patois, and uses full patois with friends who does. This shows that patois not only serves as a linguistic clue to British black people's ethnicity, but also as a symbol of solidarity. Patois also serves as an anti-language in the sense that they oppose the mainstream values of white British society, who excludes black people and their culture. Now, let us move on to social network. In sociolinguistic, network is defined as pattern of informal relationships people are involved in on a regular basis. The concept of social network was first introduced by James and Leslie Milroy in 1980. In her research of studying 3 working class communities in Belfast, she found that the linguistic variation of each group deviate from the classic class and gender pattern, since all groups are in the same socio-economic status but none speak similarly. Therefore, Milroy suggests this community's linguistic variation could be explained with the basis of differences in speakers' social network structures. Then, there is also correlation between linguistic variation and a speaker's integration in a social network. One of the characteristics of social networks are each network has its own norms and values, including norms of language use. We can conclude that the more an individual is integrated into a social network, the more he or she will adhere linguistically to the existing norms and values of this network. So, people that have high degree of integration in a network is called as insider or core member, while people with low degree of integration are called as outsider or peripheral member. Then, how can we identify a speaker's level of integration in a social network? The answer is that we must first understand the types of network that they are in. The first classification of a network is its density. Density in network refers to the number of social ties within a network, or how many members know each other in that network. If we look at the first picture, we can see that the members does not know each other independently of the person in the middle. Therefore, the network is considered as a low-density network. Meanwhile, in the second picture, we can see the numerous social ties independent from the person in the middle, which means that the members of the network know each other independent from him. Thus, the network is considered as a high-density network. The second classification of a network is its plexity. Plexity refers to the range of different types of transactions people are involved in with different individuals. Plexity is divided into 2 types, which are uniplex relationship and multiplex relationship. Uniplex relationship is for a network that most of its transaction is only in one area, while multiplex relationship is for a network that most of its transaction is in multiple areas. Also, people in multiplex network have deeper social relationships compared to uniplex network. For example, in the first picture, all of the transaction in the network is only as a classmate. Since the transaction between the members only happen in one area, it is considered as a network with uniplex relationship. Meanwhile, the second picture shows that all members are classmates, some are in the same school band, and some are in the same sports club. The members' transaction with each other are in multiple areas. Therefore, the network is considered as a network with multiplex relationship. Now that we have learned about the types of network, let us see an example of level of integration in a network. In the first picture, the person we are focusing on only know one member of a social network, and none of the members knew him or her. He also only interact with that member in one area. Therefore, his level of integration in the network is low since he belongs to a low density and uniplex network. So, he most probably will use a more standard form of a variety when conversing with the group. Meanwhile, for the second picture, we can see that the person we are focusing on belongs to a dense and multiplex network. All of the members except one know each other and most of their interaction are in multiple areas. Thus, the person level of integration in the network is high, and he or she will most probably uses a more vernacular form of a variety when conversing with the group. In conclusion, We have learned about how people use ethnicity to signal their social identity by looking at British Black English. Police case study also shows that one does not have to be knowledgeable in any variety, but instead to incorporate features of one's ethnic variety in one's speech in order to highlight one's ethnicity. We also learn about social network and its types, which are density and plexity. Lastly, a person's level of integration in a network will influence their speech. Before I stop, I want to ask, why do you think people change their speech when they are deeply integrated in a network? That's all from me. Thank you.